We have important updates to share about Tesla in the US, Nissan, Rivian, and Lucid. First, we'll do a deep dive on how Tesla is doing in vehicle sales in the US as compared to the competition, plus the new partnership between Tesla Semi and Uber Freight. Second, Nissan is closing its design centers in California and Brazil and scaling back operations in London and Japan. This is part of a turnaround plan to get back to profitability, cutting global production to 2.5 million vehicles from 3.5 million. Third, Rivian is set to begin construction of a second factory in the US. This will be a $5 billion facility in Atlanta. This factory is expected to produce 200,000 vehicles annually. Finally, Lucid is now developing not one, but three more affordable mid-size models set to roll out late next year. That is, of course, if it can raise new capital before it runs out of cash. Brian White is one of our best Tesla retail analysts. His YouTube channel, FutureAza, is quite incredible as he's one of the few that regularly travels the world and gets exclusive factory tours and interviews. Thank you, Brian.
Great to be here. There's a whole lot to cover, so I won't waste time with an intro. Let's just get to it.
I already did the intro. Thanks, Brian. So this is Tesla sold more EVs than the next four brands combined. This is August sales in the U.S. We already, in a previous show, we talked about how the U.S. EV sales are very dismal, less than 10% for sure. But when people say, hey, Tesla's in trouble, well, the thing is, they're so far ahead of everyone else. 55,000 versus Chevy at 12,000, 10, and 9. This is another way to look at it. This is just a way to visually see it better. What's your understanding of what's happening here?
Well, this is nothing new. This is the way it's always been. Tesla has been leading. If I despise Tesla, great. You can at least appreciate the way they've pulled the entire industry forward. I had someone ask me, is it even safe to drive a Tesla in Portland? I go to Portland maybe once a week. And yes, it's safe because the whole West Coast is full of EVs and Tesla is the most common. If you were to get mad at every Tesla you saw, you'd be mad all day, which some people, I guess, are really good at. So I won't judge them for that. These numbers are not surprising. Now, if you look at that 55,000 and annualize it, you'd say, whoa, that's a lot of sales. Well, we do have the big numbers coming out this quarter because of the end of the IRA credit. People are trying to move their purchases forward a little bit to capture that, because if they were planning to buy anytime soon, they know now is the time to do it if they want to get in on it. People are expecting, well, there might be big discounts coming after it's gone. Tesla's done that in the past, but this time is different. Last time the end of the credit coincided with the ramp of the Model 3 when they finally got to true economies of scale. They're already at economies of scale, and they don't have $7,500 in profit per unit. So the discounts are better today than ever. If you're looking to get one now.
When I was asking some experts, this is what they told me, that in order for a car company, an automaker, to get to profitability, to get to scale, you need to have around 200,000 cars per year. And ideally that same model. And that's when you get there. But if you look at these guys here, 12,000, it's 120,000, 140,000. They're just not even past the 200,000. And I think that that's a critical, benchmark, that once you get past that, okay, you can really do this profitably in the future.
I don't know about 200,000. The number I've heard was lower because there are a lot of cars that don't sell more than 200,000 in a year. If you look at somebody like GM who has 40, 50 models, they're not selling 200,000 of the majority of those. Otherwise, they'd be far bigger than they are now. So I think the number might be lower than that, but it could also have to do with parts commonality. There's the parts bin that has, they're all using the same blinkers. They're all using the same. But I don't know how much parts in common there are between models. It's not like it used to be where all cars used the same headlights. You had round ones or square ones, and that was it. You're not going to be putting the headlights from one vehicle on a different one. That's not how it works. So I don't know. I think that I would certainly defer to Jeff's expertise.
There's more nuance to it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Tesla in the US, we're still talking about that. And I know this is a topic you know quite a lot about, but Tesla Semi partnered with Uber Freight. And that was interesting. Uber actually did partner with Tesla. So we're excited to partner with Uber Freight on this initiative to accelerate the adoption of semis across supply chains. This program will help provide predictable growth and optimized utilization by matching carriers and shippers with lower cost EV freight options. So Uber Freight, didn't even know they existed, but
I
basically
didn't
subsidized entry point for the Tesla Semi, secured dedicated freight demand. It's a first of a kind. Sorry, it's small letters here. To make electric freight more affordable, this new program provides fleets with a subsidized entry point, so subsidized price. Fleets purchasing Tesla Semis through Uber Freight will receive a subsidy on the purchase price. They've done that too with their own car. Uber would subsidize if a Uber driver wants to buy a Tesla, they would subsidize that. In this case, they're subsidizing if a fleet wants to buy it, and then they optimize that, right? They manage that. They connect them, those fleet owners with the customers who want to get goods delivered. So this is actually Rebecca Tanucci. You know her, right? She came from Tesla. She's in charge of Uber Freight. And she came from Tesla. She was in charge of the supercharger program. And then when that whole thing where Elon let go of everybody, she was gone. She was so good. Anyway, she is now the new CEO of Uber Freight, and she's working with Tesla Semis. So what's your knowledge of this?
So why would you make a deal like this? Well, there's two reasons. One is you don't believe the demand is strong enough for your product. I don't think that's it. I think the demand for this product is off the charts. The second reason is you want to control the rollout. If they just said, okay, come on down, they're on the lot, ready to go today, what you'd get is a lot of people buying them for use cases that are not ideal, which would result in a lot of very frustrated, potentially angry customers who don't have the right charging infrastructure, who will find there are not enough chargers along their route to make it work. By doing this, you control where they go, when they go, how they go. You can maximize utilization. You can get the most miles out of them, which is when you get the most savings. There's a big benefit to that. And also by having one customer, Uber Freight, instead of 50, 100, 10,000 customers, you have much more streamlined operations. A lot of things that may be dumb questions that an individual owner would need to ask once, the drivers can ask to Uber Freight and they'll just tell them off the top of their head. It's just an easier thing. That's why fleet prices are lower. It's an easier transaction all around, and they're going to better utilize the semi. They'll be absolutely everywhere. You won't see them stuck on the side of the road unless there is a genuine failure. It won't be operator error. And it's going to work out, I think, very well.
Yep. Uber Freight's not buying this. They're just managing facilitating the sale, and then, like you said, managing the actual in between of how to train it, how to run it. Dan Priestley, who's in charge of Tesla Semi, he was asked a few questions and he answered them. He said, this guy said, without FSD or driverless tech like platooning operation, this guy thinks that electric freight vehicles won't save much cost. Fuel and maintenance savings will be offset by battery replacement every 0.5 to 1 million miles. Would you agree?
And Dan
Priestley said,
Nope.
No.
Well, first of all, million miles is when you typically replace the rig anyway. And 1 million miles is probably what you'll get out of this battery. These are batteries have gotten really good. And I don't think a lot of people know that just yet. They should. It's I can't recall the last time someone I know needed a battery replacement on anything other than a very old Model S. So I don't think people understand that. Where a semi at $500,000, you probably are going to need to rebuild it, which is very expensive and time consuming. And even if you did need to replace the battery, it is within the frame rails. So it's not like surgery to get it out, unlike an engine in a diesel big rig. So Dan is correct. It's a no. And also the fuel cost savings, depending where you are, you could be looking at
it's significant.
70, 80, 90% less cost per mile. So no. Yeah, Dan's correct.
When will semis be mass produced? And he said volume production next year. So
I've been following the Giga Semi factory weekly for months and months, probably a year now. And what we saw just this week, the video is coming out, I think tomorrow, maybe the next day, is the equipment is in. It's not just a big empty building. They are outfitting it. They are commissioning it. All the HVAC is being installed right now. All the equipment is being installed right now. They've got a gigapress there. They've got a stamping machine there. It's on schedule.
Nice. Okay, well, we're going to talk about Nissan, Rivian, and Lucid next. You got Nissan here. They are closing their design centers in California and Brazil and scaling back operations in London and Japan.
Well, the real story, I think you're burying it, is they had design centers in Los Angeles and Brazil and London. That's crazy.
They had lots. So it says here, they had quite a number. Well, let's go through it. The Japanese said restructuring, which will be completed by the end of this year, fiscal 2025, is aimed at streamlining its design operations. So they've got, it's called a broader re-Nissan plan. They're in trouble. They need to get profitability. So they're going to consolidate their design organizations to 5 hubs: LA, London, Shanghai, Tokyo, and Japan. So the LA is going to be the primary US design hub. London will continue to support the automakers Africa, Middle East, India, Europe, and Oceania regions. So this new CEO comes in, he unveils the re-Nissan turnaround plan to restore profitability. They have to cut global production capacity to 2.5 million vehicles from 3.5, and then their manufacturing sites to 10 from 17 by fiscal 2017. So you and I have been doing lots of stories on Nissan. We don't think Nissan is going to survive. Nissan and Honda tried to merge with each other. That blew up apart. So they're both dying, and they're just both trying to figure out what to do now. And it's probably last gaps of breath here, possibly, but they have to cut.
What happens is we watched Tesla reach economies of scale, and we've seen how well that's worked for them. We've watched it with the Chinese manufacturers. Once they hit economies of scale, my gosh, the prices get good. And Nissan is doing the opposite. They are losing economies of scale. So if you're not selling enough Sentras or Altimas or whatever it may be, then your prices go up. And next year, your customers aren't going to pay 5%, 10% more for the exact same car, but that's your cost. And now you're in trouble. And that's where you enter a bit of a death spiral. Nissan used to be a pretty substantial volume player. They're down around probably 3 million units a year now, which sounds like a lot, but when you've got that many different models across that many different markets, you say, well, but they've only got like 5 models, 6 models. That's in the US. Go look at the rest of the world. They probably have 20, 30 models. That's not enough volume per vehicle.
What's your guess? Because we've talked about this before. Toyota is too big to fail. Japan will save Toyota. And they're
Toyota's
still doing well.
Absolutely too big to fail. We were hoping Nissan and Honda would merge so they would become too big to fail. I don't know if Nissan on its own is too big to fail. They've got the Leaf, but I think they're scaling back production. They've got the Aria, which is quite popular, especially on the used market. People love them. They snap them up all day. It's a pretty good car, but what they don't have is the volume of new car sales needed to really stay in the game. So I don't know what their fate is. I hope their electrification efforts have been good. Maybe they will lean into that a little more. I think the government policies in Japan are not aggressive enough on electric vehicles to force them to do the thing they should have done 20 years ago. They had the Nissan Leaf and they just kind of sat on it, which is insane. If they'd have even just taken that drivetrain and made a little Miata type vehicle with it, oh my gosh, it doesn't have to be powerful. It's cute and fun. That's all it needs. But they didn't. So I think they need to get serious. And I don't think they know that electrification is what getting serious means.
Well, we know what Toyota's doing. Nothing. They're still
Hydrogen.
going around with, they don't know. They know, but they're just pushing back. Okay, so Rivian. Tell me about Rivian, because I've been watching this Rivian. They're everywhere in here in Seattle. They're gorgeous cars. I think that they made the right choice by going after the truck market first, right?
Yes.
Of course, now the story's different. They've got Cybertruck, they've got the Ford F-150s competing and all that. But still, I think that they made a good choice. But I don't know if they're going to survive. But the story seems to, because, you and I have reported again, one of these beautiful charts, which is cash flow, and Rivian has the distinction of having the most record of losses of cash, the most, like just how much money that
In
they've spent
world
so far.
history.
World history has just kept going down. They need to turn around. And it's fair for a new car maker to have losses for years, like Tesla did, but then they turned it around. These guys doesn't seem like yet they're about to turn around, but they're spending big still. Here's the new story here. They're set to begin construction on their second U.S. production facility in Georgia, $5 billion facility east of Atlanta. I don't remember, but I think they might have been given, I don't know what the word is, loan.
It's a loan.
Subsidies from the U.S.
$6 billion loan from the Department of Energy.
Yeah, there you go. The 2,000-acre site produce hundreds of thousands of EVs annually starting in 2028. So they're breaking ground now. They're actually starting to do the production. Here's what it looks like, or what I think it might look like. Mm-hmm. So it's what's going to look like. It's finally set to begin construction. And so let's see what else it says here. So once it's operational, they're expected to produce 200,000 vehicles. Key models is our upcoming R2 SUV, which will initially be built at the automaker's factory in Illinois. Then the R3, both of which will serve as the brand's entry into the more affordable vehicle. They expect to hire 7,500 people. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on all that?
So first of all, you're not going to make 200,000 cars with 7,500 people. I wish you could. You can't. I'm deeply concerned that they're making the R2 in Normal, Illinois starting soon, any day now, and then they're going to move it to Georgia. That's a very weird plan. Rivian has a spending problem. They make the best $130,000 truck you can get for $80,000, and that's killing them. You mentioned their cash burn. They are, it's killing them.
I was trying to figure out where you're going with that, but I got it now.
Their cash burn is historic. Yeah. It is unprecedented. Nobody's ever burnt $22 billion in cash before turning a profit. That's crazy. And if you look at the refresh they did, the R1S and the R1T, they came out with a new version just last year. They've got a big ball of copper that they keep in some of the showrooms to say, look, this is how much copper we simplified out of the truck. And we did this all over. I'm like, oh, thank goodness, some cost savings. And then I hop in and see that they still have this beautiful wood veneer dash. What are you doing? Get rid of that. That's too expensive. They've still got the flashlight in the door. And I've seen people say, well, but that's a $5 item. It is not. It is worth $5. The engineering alone, the manufacturing, the warranty on it. That's probably a $100 item that adds $3 of utility. My phone already has a flashlight. What are we doing? They need to get serious about cutting costs. So I am very hopeful that they survive. I would like to see more Rivians. I would like to see them successful. I would like to see their vans everywhere, their R2s and 3s everywhere. But I am not ready to pony up my money to invest in that company, because I am not confident in their survival.
Yeah, I do like Rivian a lot. I think that they were smart in their branding, and they're starting off with a electric truck when there was no electric truck. That was a great decision, I think. And then their branding, right? We're the outdoors brand, and the way that they've, the look of the car, the truck is fantastic. It's different, right? Yeah. It separates themselves.
It was such a weird, radical departure from design until we saw the Cybertruck, and we're like, actually, that's pretty normal. I like it.
I like it.
I almost got a chance to get tied in with the Rivian PR team. I was at an event. They connected me with someone who was like 3 days later part of that round of layoffs. So I've never actually been to a Rivian event. I've never actually connected with them. If anyone from Rivian's watching, I've reached out by email a few times. Check your inbox, would you? Because I'd be happy to drive one someday, and I have not.
Yeah. And report on it. You do that. You do deep dives on every car maker, not just Teslas. And you're pretty fair. So this is what you were saying earlier. This project was supported by a significant $1.5 billion incentive package from the state of Georgia, and earlier this year secured a $6.6 billion federal loan to help finance this. And I think the federal loan is like free.
Well, if it's ever dispersed, we do not know if the current administration is going to honor that commitment. I know that's something that they would be very hesitant to disperse if they have any say in the matter.
Let's talk Lucid. I'm not as a big fan of Lucid. I mean, beautiful cars, Beautiful cars. I love the look of these cars, but they're too expensive, and I didn't think that they were smart to go out with a high-end sedan when there's already lots of choices in the electric vehicle for this kind of car. That's why I kind of prefer what Rivian did. But they're talking big. The new CEO, remember, what was this guy's name that was
Peter
finally let go?
Rawlinson.
Peter Rawlinson. Well, Gus gone. Mark Winteroff is a new guy. And he's talking about they're going to roll out 3 mid-size models, more affordable models. 3. I don't know why they do this. Why do car makers do this? They talk about like, I'm going to do 32 cars.
Well, it depends how different the 3 are. But from that picture, it looks like a 3, a Y, and more of a Y fastback. I'm not sure. Yeah, boy, if those are
that
the
one
3,
looks they all look different.
They all look quite different.
Yeah, so 3 mid-size models, but they need millions in new capital to bring them to market. Okay, they have ambitious plans for the future, and they're developing not 1 but 3 to start rolling out in late 2026 if it can raise capital before it runs out of cash.
What a weird typo in that headline, by the way. They misspelled billions.
Right, you're the best. You're exactly correct. That's right. Oh my God. Lucid doubled their product lineup this year with the launch of the Gravity SUV. Fantastic. They actually have the Gravity now. But things have not gone smoothly. Bottlenecks, slowing production, customer deliveries delayed, strain on the startup's bottom line. And now this is the time to add 3. I like the idea of adding a lower cost, because that's the problem with Lucid. They're too expensive. So who can buy them? Very few people. That's it.
Yes. The trick with Lucid is people say, I want 400, 500 miles of range. And you say, well, Lucid has over 400 miles of range. And they go, yeah, but have you seen the price? That's how you get it, my friend. I'm sorry. The problem with Gravity has been that they're not selling them. I have a friend who put in an order, and he was thinking he might have it as early as last October, and he's still waiting. He's gotten a chance to drive it finally, but he can't take delivery. There was a report that showed all the EV sales, and the article had listed Gravity as 6, and Lucid shot back, no, it is not 6. It is in the triple digits. It's like, okay, so 106? What are we talking? Because there are thousands of orders. Just ship them.
So that's the story then, right? The story is they're having troubles even building and selling, this Gravity, the new one that they've launched. So how do you raise funds? You need to make up a story. We're going to make 3 new mid-sized, very affordable models. We need funds still for that.
So let's give Lucid some credit for a second. They do need a midsize. They do have good technology. They do have good IP. Their execution has been not very good. Their, final package has been a bit lacking, but that's the sort of thing you iron out with volume. What they have going for them is Corey Steuben, formerly of Monroe and Associates, who was hired as the vice president of midsize design, I think, some title like that.
Yes, he is.
And his title is now chief operations cost reduction manager, something like that. So hopefully that means something. Hopefully they're actually listening to him, and hopefully his breadth of knowledge is sufficient to cover all these little weird, unique little demands on what it takes to get a car into final production. I have high confidence in Corey. I have low confidence in Lucid. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're getting, but until they can get the volume up. Now, remember, they've got, as of last quarter, I think they've got $5 billion-ish in cash. That's pretty good. But really, you can't get under $1 billion or your creditors start sweating and your terms start getting worse. So really, they've got $4 billion, and they're still burning something like $1 billion or $2 billion a quarter. Maybe it's only down, I think it's actually under $1 billion last quarter, like 930 million or something. So that means really they've only got 1 year of runway without building new facilities, without adding more equipment. That's going to cost a fortune. So they will have to raise more money.
So a couple things. Yeah, Corey Steuben, deep respect for him. He came from Monroe and Associates, where they tear down cars. I had lunch with him, met him at the last takeover event. We spent the day together, and I'm going to interview him when he releases the new midsize vehicles. Yeah, and he's great. So he's in charge of this, like you said, cost reduction. So I think he's going to do a good job. So the thing about Lucid too is they've got access to cash, so they can keep getting the cash until they get to the midsize model. They're great looking cars. I think that they can make it happen. So Winterhoff did say that he conceded that additional funds will be needed. Okay. And sales of the original Lucid sedan, price started at around 70,000. And then of course the Gravity SUV, which went on sale last winter, was forecasted to dominate demand, but that is yet to happen. Hopefully that turns around. Yeah, you were talking about only 9 cars were sold. He said it was wrong. Okay. Got off to a much slower than expected start with Gravity to a variety of factory issues. So hopefully they turn that around. And then the midsize models are coming. So let's take a quick look at what these are going to be. 3 top hats, industry speak for unique body styles based off a common skateboard-like platform. So that answers that question. Is a common platform. A second will follow shortly after that, with a third to come about 1.5 years later. We'll see what else might be the possible off that platform. So it's a platform, and that's all. That's fine. I got maybe a little bit more too harsh when I said 3, not 1, but yes, still. And then these are going to be targeting the likes of the Model Y, with the price starting at 50,000 or somewhat below. So for them, a midsize, more affordable is Tesla's Model Y into the low-cost space.
They're trying to compete with Tesla while forgetting that Tesla succeeded because they didn't have to compete with Tesla.
That's what I was saying earlier. Yeah.
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 It's crazy. And I get it. You want a race car and a top hat. And I guess the third one's a thimble. I'm not sure how Monopoly works, but I don't know how they're going to get under 50,000 while maintaining the Lucid, luxury feel. I think that's going to be a real challenge for them. 50,000 is what you aspire to get to once you reach volume. And their problem with Gravity isn't a lack of demand. We expected huge demand. There is huge demand. Sell it. You can't grow your market.
They have to work on it.
Yeah. So
this is what he said. Our funding is enough to get us into the second half of next year, but there will be additional funds needed. And of course, the Saudi Public Investment Fund, which at the beginning of this year held 64% of the automaker. So they own the company, and they're going to keep funding it. So I think they'll survive until, you got the Saudi continue. And Lucid is now setting up an assembly plant in Mideast as well. So that sounds right.
It's a knockdown factory. They just do final assembly there. They hope to expand it to do more and more of the manufacturing, but the competencies just don't exist in that region. No one in that region has ever been a serious car builder before. So they don't have any of the pieces to the puzzle to make it happen yet. Maybe that'll change, but I just don't see it happening soon enough to make a meaningful impact.
Gosh, I don't know anybody else I could have had join me today and the previous show. You are the best when it comes to these kind of information. You're fantastic. Thank you, Brian. Check out his channel at FutureAza. Go there right now. Thanks, everybody. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.